and welcome. We are back again with HT's weekly talk show, The Interview. Our guest this week needs no introduction. Mention Farooq Abdullah, and everyone knows who he is. 3 times Chief Minister, Union Minister, and more importantly, always a relevant politician. Welcome to the show, Mr. Abdullah, and thank you for sparing the time.
Thank you.
My first question: what do you make of Ghulam Nabi Azad's praise of Prime Minister Modi? What are the political implications?
You see, first and foremost thing I'd like to tell you, I don't make much of it because Ghulam Nabi Azad has been a congressman from the beginning, has been loyal to the Gandhi family ever since I remember. Therefore, if we make anything out of it, will not be right. What is true is Ghulam Nabi did a commendable job when Gujaratis tourists were attacked, and he had tears in his eyes when he spoke to even Modi and he told him what had happened. It was a human tragedy, and it affected him very severely. It will affect anybody, but it affected him as Chief Minister. And he spoke to Modi, who was Chief Minister of Gujarat at that time, and said what had happened. And I think Modi ji has never forgotten those moments. A lot of his enemies will try to play it up. And there have been enemies for anybody who is at that point has enemies. And those enemies will make everything about it. Who and cry that he's probably going to go to BJP. I don't think so. I don't think he's that sort of a man.
And he may not go to the BJP, but the G23, the way it is being
I think they are concerned. The G23 are concerned that if Congress has to be really strong and meet the future, then I think they want a free and fair election from the president downwards, so that the party becomes more vibrant, more people-oriented. And that is what they are fighting for. And many in the party may not like it, but they're all senior people. They're senior people who have given their life and blood for this party.
When you were talking about the praise of Prime Minister Modi, you were talking about it in Parliament. I was referring to Jammu when he said that Mr. Modi says what he likes and what is true. And he's not ashamed of saying that he's a tea seller. While the Congress has always contradicted Mr. Modi's claim of a tea seller. That was the contradiction I was talking about.
Parties play up things. That's why I did not really refer to that. God gave him this position, restored Prime Minister this position. I hope he carries it well. I hope he builds a nation which is nation for all, not exclusive for one. And we just hope he will do that.
Are there any signs of their doing that?
Well, his party is a party which, from Savarkar down to everyone else, have been thinking of one nation, one religion, one everything. And I hope he can fight that. I don't know. Future will tell us how things will go.
Are you and the National Conference in talks with Ghulam Nabi Azad or Sonia Gandhi?
Look, as far as Sonia Ji is concerned, she's not been too well. She didn't come to the house. So I have not also really tried hard to go and see her. I have all respect for her, for what she is doing and what she has done for that party. And as far as Ghulam Nabi, yes, I've been constantly in touch with Ghulam.
If given a choice, who would you go with, Ghulam Nabi Azad or Sonia Gandhi?
I'll go with both of them because I don't differentiate between both of them.
Well, now there seems to be a divide, and going with both may not be an option.
You see, Kumkum, in politics, we may differ, but does that mean that you end associations? It's normal to differ on things. How people will take it is different. How Mrs. Gandhi will take his doing this, and how You see, biggest person in that party was Patel, who has died. He was a comforter. He used to listen, he used to carry that to Mrs. Gandhi and carry back what Mrs. Gandhi said. Now, that um, break has taken place. I hope we find another man of like Ahmad Bai's stature and Ahmad Bai's position. Ghulam Nabi could have filled that position very well, but I cannot speak more than this because I do not know how the party feels about it.
I sense that you're more concerned about the Congress than about the National Conference and the way that's disintegrating and going.
See, national conference doesn't exist in the rest of the nation. Congress exists in every part of the country. Every village there is a congressman. And I think if you have an opposition to face this brute majority and this Hinduta wave, the only party that can meet that in the country is Congress. I'm not a congressman. I've never been a congressman, but I've been a well-wisher of the Congress. And I'll always be a well-wisher of the Congress.
You know, I am a bit surprised why the entire opposition is looking only towards the Congress, and why don't they get together themselves and form a group which can take on the BJP? Why does it have to begin and end with the Congress? That if the Congress doesn't do, everything is over.
It's not so. I think we all are concerned, whether it's me, whether it's other regional parties, whether it's a communist party, Mamataji's party. We are all concerned. And I think time will come very soon when we'll sit together and start thinking how do we save the nation from the tragedies it is facing today. Otherwise, we'll be responsible and we won't be able to answer before God that we didn't do enough to save this nation from the tragedies it's going through.
Hasn't a lot of time gone by already?
Yes, there's no doubt time has gone by. But then one shouldn't, become pessimistic and say, no, now it's all over and we are finished. No, I'm an optimist.
While on Mamata Banerjee, you said you have no time to campaign in West Bengal. Don't you think, as a politician or colleague and a gentleman, you should have been by Mamata Banerjee's side at this point in time?
I am always with Mamata Banerjee. There's no doubt about it. See, my problem, Kumkum, is I have number of ailments. I have blood pressure, I have hypertension, I have kidney transplant, I'm on anti-suppressant drugs, and this virus is a killer virus. And I think she also realizes there are certain things I can't do, even if I want to do them, because this illness is still very much dominant, and now second wave has come. That's why I am not there.
But on the other hand, people say that you have time to go to Captain Amrinder Singh's daughter's wedding, and and the pandemic is there even then. But then, when it comes to Mamata Banerjee, you've taken a
No,
back seat.
not at all. Going to Amrinder's granddaughter's wedding, here you are in one place, one room, safely tucked in, and knowing fully well that everyone there is sanitized.
Isn't it ironic that your father brought the PSA Act to check timber smuggling, and the first time it was used against a mainstream politician happened to be you?
Let me tell you, you may have made mistakes, but it's not the question of not improving the mistakes. That's why if my son's government had remained, we were already going to do away with the PSA. We had already made up our mind that the PSA has to go.
What has happened to the Gupkar alliance? Why did you fail, or why has it failed to stay together?
Let me tell you, Gupkar alliance is still strong. Don't go by media reports that this is that and that. This alliance came up in a very short time because suddenly they thrust the 5th August thing on 2019 on all of us. And Then the election to the DDDC was also thrust subtly. So we had no opportunity other than just getting on. And you know, when these things are done, they do not go all the way down. The leaders may agree, but it doesn't go down. That's why you saw in the election, many of the candidates, people, we had so many days of discussion where who will take this seat and who will take that seat. Even then, at the bottom, there were people who did not agree. Many of the PDP people stood up against the official candidate. Many of the National Conference people stood against the candidate. This happened. Unfortunately, it did happen. Just because we did not have that understanding at the bottom. So I hope it will be better now.
Sajad Lone said that it was breach of trust.
Look, as I told you, when Sajjad Lone says this, he suddenly realized that it didn't go down into the ground. But he must realize he's not a leader of today. He's a leader for many, many years. Ask him, did it go down to the ground to his people? Has it gone down to my people? It doesn't go that easily.
But post DDC elections, there has been very little communication between all of you, between all the
You see,
parties.
one, it's very severe winter. Very severe winter. I'm in Srinagar. Mahbooba ji is in Srinagar. Others are all in Jammu or in Delhi. So we decided that once Parliament session is over and the weather has improved, we'll again meet. We'll again talk and see the future strategy. Nothing comes to an end.
So it's intact
Yes, very much so.
and going strong,
Yes, very much so.
irrespective of people leaving.
आए भी वो गए भी वो खत्म खफसाना हो गया. Why cry on a thing that has gone? We still have to move forward. People join, people go, people come. This is what political structures are. Nobody holds them by strength. Some people pay them money and buy them over. Some people threaten them. That's not Farooq Abdullah's job.
Would you say that and apply that also to the desertions in the National Conference and senior leaders leaving? And Omar, your son, saying, and I quote, that my political standing I'm uncertain of. What do you make of this?
Young man, never saw the tragedies I have seen or his grandfather saw. It takes time. I'm sure he's come out of it. He's now campaigning for the party. He's going around all the areas now. So these things happen. He sees how people sell themselves, how they barter for their things. Which
This
he
is
had
not
never seen
worrying.
before. He's a very straight person. He doesn't mince words.
This is not worrying.
No, it's not that. No. It's a good phase in life. At least he's honest. He's not dishonest. He's honest how he feels. And I'm proud that he's honest about it. It did affect my party people. But look, why is he? I told them, look, don't worry. Everything
Do-
takes time.
Do you think he has the capability, and I use that word with caution, to fit into your shoes? One view is that he's not a patch on you. What is your objective assessment?
The same thing they used to say about me. I'm not a patch on my father. And to fit into my father's shoes is not easy. Similarly, it's not easy for him to fit into my shoes. He has to fit into his own shoes and, and take the people forward with his own ideas, with his own thinking.
Talking purely objectively and less as a father, what are the areas you think Omar needs to work on and brush up?
I think one is his contact with the people has to be more. He has to. I'm glad he's able to speak the language very well now, which is very important, and that he must keep his principles intact, which he has got very strong principles, and I think those principles need to be kept intact. And third thing I'll say to him, whenever something is said, weigh it carefully. And I used to be very abrupt, and I paid the price for it. I hope he will weigh things properly and look into them and see the pros and cons of the thing and then move accordingly.
Do you advise him and does he seek your advice?
Look, as far as political matters are concerned, yes, we do talk on issues which are important, because unless I talk to him and he talks to me, it's not possible to move forward. So we do have mutual discussions, quiet discussions. He's a very quiet person. And that's something he has got from his mother. The mother is also a very quiet person.
Are you willing to negotiate with Prime Minister Modi on the restoration of statehood? Because he's the only person who can give it.
You see, negotiations are very important. We never closed our doors and windows. They're always open. Inshallah, we hope, like they are now trying to mend fences with China, they are trying to mend fences with Pakistan, they are trying to mend fences with Nepal, which is a very good thing, and which is at his instance. I don't think anybody else has the courage to do so. What Bajpayee said, that friends can be changed, neighbors cannot be changed. We either live in friendship with them and progress, or live in animosity and destroy each other. So I think he is trying to work on that, and I hope he will succeed in it. And hope that on Kashmir also, he will open the doors. We must move forward. That's what we want. We want peace. We want peace and progress. That is what we want.
You know, you were a strong critic of Mr. Modi's policies. I now sense a softening of stand. Is there a change of mind?
Look, I was never, what was I against his policy? The policy I was against him was what he did in Kashmir. Yes, I'm still against that. I have not changed from that.
But you're not coming out as strongly as you normally do.
Well, I'm not one of those who will get onto the street and shout. Farooq Abdullah has not done those things. There are things that can be negotiated quietly, without hula.
So, are you willing to negotiate with him?
Why not? We have never closed doors to talk. What is his interest? His interest is the nation. My interest is the same. We cannot live out of the nation. We've always worked for the nation. We will continue to work for the nation. How much they may say I'm a Pakistani, I am Khalistani, and I'm whatnot. From the Congress time, these labels were put on me. I haven't changed.
You know, your party, the National Conference, and you boycotted the Delimitation Commission. But at the same time, you're ready to take part in the assembly polls. Isn't this a kind of a contradiction?
No,
And
no,
please
there's
explain
no
it to me.
contradiction. You see, Delimitation Commission. What was the necessity of bringing in Delimitation Commission when we could have done delimitation in 2020? You know, in 19, when I was the Chief Minister in 96, I could have done delimitation then. But in the House, I said, when the nation is going for 2026 delimitation, obviously seats will increase, all this, we have to create position for that. So we wait. And the whole House, BJP and every member, Panther Party, National Conference, Mahbuba's party, all supported this. What was the necessity of doing delimitation today? And then if we are members of delimitation, we can't even say a damn. They will do what they have to do. So where is our position? We just have to wait, just see, observers.
Mute spectators.
Yes, just spectators. That's why we boycotted it.
But then you're willing to contest the polls?
Whenever polls take place, we're not going to give them a walkover. We didn't give them a walkover now. Because when we did take part in one of these elections, do you remember what they said? The order has come from Pakistan.
They alleged.
Yes, they alleged. So when we took part in the election, what are they saying now? We're not going to give them walkover. That's not possible.
So between restoration of statehood and 370, what is priority? You know, there is a mix-up.
There's no priority. They have to take it back, all.
Both together,
Yes,
one
they should take
after
it as
another.
they have done this way. I thought this was a promise to the people of Jammu and Kashmir and Ladakh. It's not promised to me. It's promised to everybody by the Constitution. The Congress robbed us of most of it by presidential orders, which cannot stand the test of the law. But they did it. Now it was an emotional issue. Now, can you imagine today, Tamil Nadu is promising 75% of the people of the local will get employment. Where is Jammu and Kashmir man going to go? Is he going to go to Himachal? Are they going to accept him? Is he going to Punjab? Are they going to accept him? Is he going to Haryana? Where will he go?
In fact, the National Conference is disturbed about Kashmiri Muslim officers being sidelined and non locals getting top positions.
Not only Muslims, all Jammu and Kashmir employees are being sidelined. People are being brought from outside. Are we not that capable? Are our Kashmiri Pandits not capable? Are our Muslims not capable? Are our Dogras not capable?
So you did raise this issue in initially. You did raise this issue.
Well, I am
initially.
always raising this issue. This is part of us.
So what do you intend to do about this? And how do you intend to take this issue with the government?
When we have that opportunity of talking to them, we'll raise this up with them. This is not on. And if the state comes back, we'll undo all these damn laws.
That's a big if.
There's no question if. It will happen one day. Farooq Abdullah is alive or not. Whoever comes will have to do it.
And
because Jammu people feel as bitter as people in Kashmir.
Are you going to wait for that opportunity, or are you going to sneak it and in one sense snatch it? And
wait and see. Wait and see.
Long wait.
Doesn't matter. We waited 200 years for British to go. How does it matter?
What is your take on the plight of Indian Muslims?
Muslims are not so educated. Fault lies with all of us. Fault lies with Muslim rich who did not look into this. And I think the tragedy of partition created a very bad taste in the sense that almost all rich, educated, and well went to Pakistan, left people who were downtrodden. They didn't care for them. And when Congress ruled for so many years, Congress also gave just lip service. I don't think they did much in promoting or getting them above the poverty line. This nation cannot progress unless all of us, whether you're Christian, you're Muslim, you're Dalit, you're Brahmin, you're Sikh, whatever you are, everybody has to rise. Then the nation will rise.
You know, it's been 75 years, and this rhetoric has been going on with things far from improving, probably getting from bad to worse. So how do you view this, and where
I think
lies
we all are responsible. All, whether they are religious leaders, whether they are political leaders. We are all responsible for what this nation is going through.
Do you, in one sense, feel responsible?
Yes,
As a
I
senior,
feel as responsible as everybody else. As responsible. We should have done more to build a strong nation. That's why I say every election has pushed this nation backwards. We use religion, we use all sorts of rubbish rhetoric to sit on the chair. Chair is not that important. The people are important.
You know, Mr. Abdullah, every politician is very good with words. And it's what we hear is words, words, words. But nobody seems to be taking the lead. And
well, we tried to do it in our part of the state. We tried to take lead in this. We did everything possible to see
so
that
what next?
You see, what happened is the worst thing happened. Well, let me tell you, when 47, the raiders came in, who stood up against them? Sheikh Muhammad Abdullah, with his party called National Conference. Every Hindu, every Sikh, every Muslim, every Christian united and said, no, we are ready to fight you. Not with guns, with wooden guns. That was the courage that our people had. What happened in these years? Why did Hindus have to migrate? That is why we say, please appoint a judge, a team of judges Let them look into why did our people have to leave, whether it was Hindu, whether it was a Muslim, whether it was Sikhs. Why did they leave?
So, if politicians like you, senior politicians like you, don't do it, who else will?
No, but we requested the government, instead of putting blames on people, so and so is responsible, this fellow is responsible. Why don't they find out what was the cause for it? What happened from 47 to get to this position?
But isn't it time to give up the past, stop living in that, and take the
Who
way
says?
forward?
But unless you look at the past, you cannot build a future. Look at the mistakes you made in the past and try to see that those mistakes are not repeated. That is what past is for. If you don't look into your mistakes of the past, you'll never move forward.
So, what is your formula, or what would be a kind of a via media to see that what you are saying comes into action?
I think the biggest thing is the government of India has to move forward, leave this electoral politics, and start thinking of building the nation. We are now only wanting the chair. Whether we have to buy people, sell people, do all sorts of illegal things, we want the chair.
Talking about the chair, and if you'll allow me to remind you, it was said about you that you are also power hungry, and you had said, I will never get into an alliance with the Congress, and then you did.
Let me tell you, if I was that power hungry, in 2002, when we lost, and I had 28 members, my members came to me and said, we can buy people. We need 13 members or 14 members, and we form a government. I said, no, I'm not going to form a government. I don't believe in this Ayaram and Gayaram. So that should be an example to people. It was never. What I did was with Congress was because of the progress that we could make when Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister. I had personal understanding with him, thinking that we will be able to get more development funds, like Morarji Bhai gave to my father. And we were able to progress at much faster speed than we have ever done, because he was liberal about it. We need a government in Delhi that is liberal about it, not talk only about it.
While on Rajiv Gandhi, I'm reminded of what you told me years ago, that one day you cried when he humiliated you. Tell me about that.
No, no, he didn't humiliate. You see, tragedy with the leaders are they have got coteries and they surround them. I had a very good working relationship with him. But then they filled his ears. And one day I came to meet him here. I sat down 7 days in the Kashmir house to meet him. I didn't get opportunity to meet him, so I went back. I felt sad.
So, Rajiv,
Second instance, I'll tell you. We had to make ministers. I waited for whole 2 weeks to make ministers because they couldn't complete their list. So I went through and I swore in mind. Bhuta Singh Ji was Home Minister. He came. Oh, what have you done? I said, what? You think I'm a slave of yours?
you feel terribly let down by
Many
Rajiv
times.
Gandhi.
No, no, not by him, but the government of India itself. Or another humiliation. We decided here that we'll make Deputy Chief Minister and uh, Jaitley Saab's father-in-law. He has been old congressman, was my father's minister, has been 28
Yes.
years he was finance minister of that state.
The
Was it-
longest serving.
Huh?
The longest serving.
Serving, yes. And was Rajya Sabha member. So I sat with him and I said, he was in number 10. He was not the Prime Minister. I said, we will put him. He said, yes, fine. Very good. करो. तो गिरधारी लाल डोगरा से मैंने उनसे कहा, I told him exactly this. I said, remember, the minute this is out, those people will come, they will speak against him, and this decision will be turned. He said, no, no, nothing will happen. It will happen. And I said, the best thing is Navratra is starting. And 9 days, this is the most auspicious thing. Let's get it done on that day. I am visiting Doda. And suddenly I get a call on the first very Navratra that today we'll swear him in. I said, are you sure? He said, yes. Jagmohan Ji was my governor. I said, keep the preparations, but we do not know. Because I knew what Congress culture is. So I said, I don't know what will happen. So just hold on. He said, no, I can't hold on. I'll have to say it. I said, all right, say it. I flew back at 4 o'clock to Srinagar for the swearing in at 5:30. And I kept on touch with Delhi, and they kept on saying, the plane is going to take off, the plane is going to take off. The plane never took off. And Girdhari Lal Ji died because of that shock that he got from these people who he had served all his life. These are things that pain me, continue to pain me.
Would you say then the sum total of Rajiv Gandhi, a gentleman, but bad politics, bad governance?
Very good gentleman, very good heart, but people surrounding him were not right.
You worked with Indira Gandhi, you worked with Rajiv, Sonia Gandhi, and Atal Bihari Vajpayee. What have been your experiences with and assessment of each one of them?
As I told you, Rajiv Gandhi ji was very gentlemanly, very straight, and with very clean heart. Very clean heart. I don't think you had a politician there. Atal Bihari ji, RSS man, but still realized that if India has to progress, all have to progress. He had no differences between Muslims, Hindus, Sikhs, and this thing. That was his biggest strength that he had.
Indira Gandhi,
Indira Gandhi, very tough, but insecure inside. And probably pulled by some of these people around.
Mrs. Sonia Gandhi,
Sonia Gandhi, I have not had much experience in the sense that uh, she hasn't been in the government. She is a quiet worker. And I am, and as I told you, she would listen. And this is what Mrs. Gandhi also had. She had many people, many quarters who would tell her and work with her without government knowing. Mrs. Sonia Gandhi also works quietly. You will not hear her shout this thing or say this thing. Says very little. But inside she works. That's all
Prime Minister Modi.
Prime Minister Modi, you see, I have known him as Chief Minister of Gujarat. He has done a commendable job. And I saw the progress he had made in his state. Very well. When he came to as Prime Minister, it was a new experience. State and India is too different. You cannot put the same things into the country. The country is vast. The Marathas think differently, the Kashmiris think differently, the Bengalis think differently, the Tamils think differently. All have different things. It is you have to blend these things. That Mr. Modi will have to gradually cultivate.
And finally, in 1989, when Mufti Muhammad Sayyid's daughter was released in exchange of JKLF boys, you had said, and I quote, "We will have to pay a price." Looking back at the way things have panned out, what would you say today?
Well, it's not only one of these things. What about the aircraft that went to Kandahar?
With Jaswant Singh.
Yes,
ji
Jaswant
there.
Singh, I mean, these are tragedies, great tragedies that India is now still facing. They didn't listen to me because they could not have harmed Mahbooba's sister. They couldn't have harmed. There was a pressure from Islamic countries. There's a pressure from even Pakistan on them that this is not right. And that they had to release her. And you saw what has happened since then.
Are you a disappointed man today, Mr. Farooq Abdullah?
No. I'm happy what I said was coming true. I am not As I told you before, I'm not pessimist, I'm optimistic.
You're happy.
Nations go through these things, and leaders go through these things. And when I look to myself and I look at my prophet, of the tragedies he faced in carrying God's words to the last. But he succeeded. Today, Islam is everywhere. There's not a place where Islam is not.
Are you happy that we've had to pay a heavy price?
Who will be happy that we are paying heavy price?
Yes, because you just
no Indian will be happy
because you
of
just
the price
said
we are paying.
yeah, because you just said I'm happy that we had to
I'm happy because what I said
has
is
come
coming
true. That's right.
Yes.
So
but does not mean that I am happy for what price the nation has paid. I warned the nation, and I will continue to warn the nation. That is my job to the last breath.
Mr. Abdullah, thank you very much
Thank you.
for this interview and for taking out the time and answering all the questions.
Thank you. Thank you.